Today, October 10th, the waning gibbous moon in Gemini activates a vibrational field that few can decode. If you've been feeling misunderstood, silenced, or in conflict with those you love, this is not random. A portal of healing through words is opening now, but it will close in less than 48 hours. And if you ignore this moment, the energy may block important bonds and even sever sacred connections that were placed in your life with divine purpose. Chosen one, you who feel differently, who perceive the signs of the universe even in silence. Stay with me until the end of this video, because I will reveal to you the spiritual reason why certain conversations keep repeating in your life, an ancestral secret about the hidden power of open-ended questions, and the final message God is trying to deliver to you through the conversations you may have been avoiding. Sometimes, the desire to be understood becomes louder than our willingness to truly listen. You may find yourself repeating your thoughts, your feelings, your version of events, yet still feel unheard. But have you paused long enough to offer the same attention you crave? The waning gibbous moon in Gemini invites emotional maturity through curiosity, not control. In love, listening is a sacred act, one that says, I care about who you are, not just how you make me feel. Understanding starts with presence, not persuasion. When you speak from pain, it's easy to assume you're the only one hurting. But the other person also carries silence, confusion, or guarded truths. Gemini teaches that dialogue isn't a battleground, it's a bridge. You don't need to fight for space when you're willing to create it. What if you let your next conversation be less about winning and more about discovering? Ask with softness. Pause to absorb. Let their truth land before rushing to your own. That's where true connection begins. It's not just about talking. It's about the quality of your attention when the other speaks. So many misunderstandings grow in the space where listening could have lived. And in love, those missed moments can slowly close hearts. But you can shift the energy now with openness, with patience, with the decision to hear not just words, but emotions behind them. This lunation asks, are you listening with your ego or with your soul? Real love is not afraid of difficult conversations. It's built through them. But those moments only become healing when you're fully present, when you show up with the willingness to listen even when it's uncomfortable. If you've been craving intimacy, try offering your ears instead of your defense. Try asking, what do you need from me right now? Let dialogue become a devotion. That's when love stops feeling like a guessing game and becomes something real. You say you want to be understood, but are you truly allowing space for the other person's truth? Often, we think we're communicating when we're actually just reacting. The moon waning in Gemini reveals a deeper truth. Communication isn't just speaking, it's receiving. Love needs more than monologues. It needs stillness, presence, and space for someone else's story. If you're constantly filling the silence, you might be missing what matters most. When your mind races to defend, correct, or prove, pause. Ask yourself, am I really listening? Or am I waiting for my turn to respond? Relationships thrive not on who's right, but on mutual recognition. The energy of Gemini isn't about silencing yourself. It's about learning when to soften. Listening is a radical act of love, especially when you disagree. You don't have to abandon your voice to make room for someone else's. You just have to make space. Let this moment be a turning point in how you relate. Practice conscious communication, not to control the outcome, but to deepen the bond. Speak with intention. Listen with heart. And when you feel the urge to interrupt, ask instead, can you help me understand? Those small shifts unlock healing. They dissolve walls. And sometimes, just being heard is the beginning of everything changing. The kind of connection you're longing for doesn't start with perfect words. It starts with honest presence. If you've been stuck in cycles of miscommunication or emotional distance, this is your sign to shift. Let every conversation become a space of healing. The more present you are, the more clearly you'll be seen. In love, It's not about saying everything. It's about saying what matters and making sure you're also listening for what matters back. You say you want clarity and love, but still hesitate to ask what your heart really wants to know. The fear of disrupting peace often silences our most important questions. But unspoken doubts don't disappear, they grow in the dark. Gemini energy invites you to bring light into those hidden corners. When you open space for honest questions, you also open space for real intimacy. Asking is not confrontation, it's connection. Sometimes, we avoid conversations not because we don't care, but because we care too much. We fear the answers, the discomfort, or even the vulnerability of hearing what we already sense. But truth doesn't hurt relationships, silence does. This lunar phase teaches that avoiding dialogue is also a choice, and often one that feeds distance. The right question, asked with love, can create a sacred bridge between two people. So, what is it you've been afraid to ask? Is it, do you still love me? Or what are we building together? Or how are you really feeling? The questions don't need to be perfect. They need to be honest. They need to come from a place of curiosity, not control. The more open your heart is when asking, the more likely you are to receive something real in return. Communication isn't just a tool, it's an offering. Let this be your moment of courage. Initiate the talk. Create a safe space. Let silence be broken by sincerity, not urgency. The love that is meant to grow with you won't run from your truth. It will meet you there. And even if the answer isn't what you hoped, at least you will no longer be waiting in the shadows of assumptions. Dialogue, when guided by heart, becomes the most healing prayer. You crave connection, but hold back your real thoughts out of fear. You pretend everything is fine, while inside, silent questions echo. This dissonance builds walls between hearts. Gemini energy reveals that intimacy isn't built on pretending, it's built on presence. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the birthplace of emotional closeness. And sometimes, all it takes is one honest question to shift everything. You might feel safer behind smiles and surface talk, but deep down, you want more. More understanding, more emotional depth, more truth. The moon invites you to stop masking your doubts and start expressing your real emotions. If you've been longing for closeness, ask the questions that matter, even if your voice trembles. Because avoiding the conversation won't protect you, it only prolongs the distance. Consider the power of simply asking, "How are you really?" Not out of politeness, but from a genuine place of care. That small moment of sincerity can open a door to a deeper bond. Your presence is healing when you dare to show your heart, even without perfect words. Stop rehearsing. Start revealing. There is strength in not knowing and still choosing to listen with love. This is a cosmic cue to make space for soulful communication, to move past fear and into clarity, to honor the relationship enough to risk discomfort for truth. If you want intimacy, let your curiosity be guided by compassion, not fear. Because love isn't silence. Love is presence. And presence means being brave enough to ask and open enough to truly hear. You may think you're protecting the relationship by avoiding uncomfortable truths, but hiding your doubts only creates distance. When your partner doesn't know what's going on inside you, they can't respond with love or clarity. Gemini energy reminds us, connection thrives on transparency. Real closeness begins where pretense ends. If you want emotional depth, vulnerability is your bridge. Pretending you're fine when you're not serves no one. Silence might feel safer than confrontation, but it can quietly erode trust. The truth is, your doubts deserve a voice, not to cause conflict, but to invite closeness. Speaking your truth isn't about being dramatic. It's about being real. The moon is asking, where are you withholding truth out of fear of disconnection? It's time to stop editing yourself in love, to risk being misunderstood in favor of being seen. Even a gentle question, shared with honesty, can spark a healing conversation. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need the courage to start asking. And to listen, not to react, but to understand. Dialogue isn't a threat, it's a gateway to deeper connection. Let this phase be a turning point. Instead of bottling up your questions, express them with softness and curiosity. Ask not to control, but to connect. Ask not to accuse, but to understand. Your willingness to explore what's unspoken can shift everything. Because when you choose truth with tenderness, love has space to grow and heal. You say you want closeness, yet you keep your questions locked inside. There's a gap between your heart and your words, and it's widening. Gemini's energy shows us that intimacy doesn't survive on silence. The truth is, vulnerability isn't weakness. It's an invitation to connection. When you avoid expressing doubts, you also block opportunities for clarity. Love asks, will you risk the truth to build real trust? Often, we pretend everything's fine because we fear the answers. But withholding your genuine emotions only creates misunderstanding. When you share what's real, even if it's messy or unsure, you create a safer space for both of you. This moon phase in Gemini reminds us that questions open doors. The unspoken becomes the unsolvable. But once voiced, it can be met with care. You don't have to speak perfectly. You don't even have to have all the words figured out. What matters is your intention. Are you seeking connection or staying hidden? The universe supports conversations that come from presence, not pressure. You don't need dramatic confrontations, just honest curiosity. Asking, how do you feel about us, can be a sacred turning point. In this cycle, communication becomes a spiritual tool. Gemini energy blesses not only what is said, but also the courage it takes to say it. Love deepens when we risk being seen in our confusion and our hope. You're not too much, you're just holding too much in. So let it out gently. Let your questions be the bridge back to intimacy. It's easy to hide behind smiles and silence when the heart feels uncertain. You nod, you laugh, you change the subject, anything but speak the question burning inside. But Gemini's energy won't let you keep dancing around your doubts. Now is the moment to ask, not accuse. To reveal, not retreat. Because pretending only makes the distance grow wider. Real connection isn't built on assumptions. It's built on brave conversations. You may be waiting for the right moment, but clarity rarely knocks twice. When you dare to ask how the other truly feels, you break the illusion of everything's fine. That's where intimacy begins, not in perfection, but in honesty. Even if the answer isn't what you expect, it's always better than uncertainty. You might fear being misunderstood or rejected, but silence is its own kind of rejection. It says, I don't trust this space to hold my truth. And yet, you long to be seen, known, loved. Vulnerability is the key that unlocks all three. Gemini whispers that love isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask the questions that matter most. So breathe. Be present. Choose words that come from the heart, not the heat of the moment. Let this be a time of soft courage, of leaning in rather than pulling away. The person beside you may be waiting for the same opening. And all it takes is one honest question to turn confusion into connection. Sometimes, the words you said weren't the ones you truly meant. Maybe you were tired, triggered, or just trying to be heard. But when emotions take the wheel, clarity crashes. The Gemini moon invites you to revisit those moments, not to judge yourself, but to choose a new language. Communication isn't just about being right. It's about being real, kind, and clear. You have the power to repair what was misunderstood. Think of the times you felt like someone didn't get you. Maybe they didn't, because the message got lost in tone, timing, or tension. But now, the air clears. This lunar energy offers a reset. It's not about rehearsed speeches. It's about sincere intention. How would you speak today if you knew it would be received with love and not defense? Some wounds in relationships aren't about what was said, but how it was said. And the healing begins when you let go of needing to win the conversation. Instead, You lead with presence. You breathe before responding. You turn dialogue into a shared space of understanding. That's when even the hardest truths can feel like bridges instead of walls. So speak, not to prove, but to connect. Ask, not to expose, but to understand. Let your words carry the energy of peace, even when they speak of pain. This moment is not about the past. It's about the choice you're making now. And when you choose presence over pride, you become a catalyst for real healing. Not every conversation needs to be heavy to be healing. Sometimes a lighter tone, a curious question, or a gentle check-in can open doors that resistance once kept closed. Gemini energy reminds us that presence doesn't have to mean pressure. It can mean flow. You don't have to rehearse your truth to make it valid. You just need to show up with clarity and care. If your past words created distance, your current voice can build a new bridge. You are allowed to change your tone, update your message, and invite the other person back into connection. This lunar phase is about refinement, not perfection. Let go of the guilt about what wasn't said right before. Focus instead on what can be said now, with kindness, courage, and calm. It's okay to admit that your communication style is evolving. Growth is not about never messing up. It's about learning how to express from a more grounded, conscious place. Your voice is sacred, and when you use it to create understanding rather than tension, your relationships reflect that grace. Every word becomes a thread in the fabric of healing. So go back, if your heart is calling you to. Say what was left unsaid, but say it differently. Ask for forgiveness without fear. Extend an invitation to reconnect. This is your chance to speak not from ego, but from essence. In doing so, you don't just fix a bond, you elevate it. Money is not just a tool, it's a mirror. The way you relate to your finances often reflects the way you relate to your energy, your worth, and your purpose. When you dismiss your resources, you unconsciously block your ability to receive more. The Taurus moon teaches that honoring what you already have is the gateway to true abundance. Gratitude turns the ordinary into the sacred. If you're constantly chasing more without acknowledging the now, you'll always feel behind. The desire for growth is natural, but it must be rooted in respect. Respect for your effort, your journey, and what you've already created. This cycle invites you to bless your bank account, however small. To see your bills not as burdens, but as evidence that you are sustained. This is a time for financial reverence. Not fear, not shame, reverence. Every dollar you receive, spend, or save carries intention. Are you spending out of stress or presence? Are you saving out of lack or alignment? The more awareness you bring, the more empowered you become. Wealth isn't just what you hold, it's how you hold it. Let this be the moment you shift your perspective. That morning coffee, that rent payment, that donation, they're all part of your energetic dialogue with the universe. When you treat money as sacred, it starts responding in kind. The flow stabilizes, the panic fades, and your future begins to feel grounded in grace. Your financial health isn't just a number, it's a reflection of your energy field. If you're feeling scattered, drained, or emotionally overwhelmed, your bank account often echoes that imbalance. The Taurus moon asks you to ground yourself and bring structure to the chaos. Stability begins with small, intentional steps, tracking your spending, honoring your commitments, and releasing guilt tied to past decisions. Rebuilding your relationship with money doesn't mean starting from scratch. It means starting from truth. Look at what you already have. What skills, resources, or insights did hardship give you? Gratitude isn't a bypass, it's a bridge. When you bless what remains instead of mourning what was lost, you begin to shift from scarcity to sovereignty. Security isn't built on control, it's built on clarity. And clarity comes from presence. Tending to your money like a garden, gently, consistently, without rush, creates real transformation. Taurus teaches patience, but not passivity. It's a sign that rewards action grounded in value. So, Organize your finances not from fear, but from devotion to your future. Purpose grows best in fertile soil, and money, when treated with love and care, becomes part of that soil. It supports your dreams, nurtures your calling, and gives roots to what you're here to create. This lunar phase is your reminder. It's not about chasing more. It's about cultivating what already wants to grow.